What if the secret you shared with a friend became the very reason your life was cut short? Do you know that some victories are better celebrated in silence? Because not everyone smiling at you is truly happy for you. This is not just a story, it's a life lesson, a warning, a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is to tell the wrong person the right information. Now sit back, listen carefully and learn from this emotional, thought-provoking story. Guys, I don't finally get the visa. Chuka's voice echoed through the compound like thunder. His white teeth flashed in the sun as he waved the crisp paper in the air. He didn't just talk, he shouted it loud, proud, like someone who had finally broken a generational curse. He wasn't even inside his room yet when the neighbors began rushing out of their own. Omo, Chuka don't get visa, someone screamed from upstairs. Nah lie, serious? Another shouted back. In less than 5 minutes, Chuka's compound has become a mini carnival. Mama Nkechi brought out malt and chin-chin. Even Baba Ali, who rarely left his room, came out and clapped slowly. Chuka laughed, sweat pouring down his face. 7 years old, I suffer, but God no shame me. He hugged everyone. He didn't care who was watching or listening. His joy was too big to hide. But from one corner of the compound, a young man named Ifeanyi watched in silence. His eyes didn't blink. His lips didn't move. But deep inside his heart, a storm was rising. Chuka Nnamani was 29 years old, a graduate of mechanical engineering from UNN, bright, humble and kind-hearted. He worked as a generator repairer by the day, Uber driver by night and bricklayer on weekends, anything to survive. He lived in a self-contained apartment in Ajegunle. He had no fancy shoes, no iPhone, but one thing he had was a dream, a strong burning dream to leave Nigeria for greener pastures. For 7 years he had been saving. Every kobo he made, he split into 3 parts. One for food, one for rent, one for his UK dream. He ate soaked garri when things were tough. He washed clothes for people on weekends, even rejected relationships just to stay focused. People laughed at him. 7 years, you never reach UK? But Chuka smiled because he knew that slow progress was still progress. And finally he got it. The UK study visa. Fully approved. School fees paid. Accommodations settled. Flights booked. Chuka did one thing that many of us would do when we are excited. He told everybody. He didn't mean harm. He was just happy. Proud that after all the sweat, the hunger and rejection, he finally made it. He called his uncle in the village, posted the visa page on WhatsApp. He told his former secondary school group chat, and most dangerously, he told Ifeanyi. Ifeanyi was his neighbor, older, quieter, but deep down he was angry at life. Ifeanyi had once tried to travel too, but he was duped twice. His passport was seized and his wife left him. And now he was living in bitterness, masking it behind fake smiles. Congratulations, bro. Ifeanyi had said that day, hugging Chuka. But in his heart, he was not hugging. He was plotting. One night, Chuka's mother called him from Enugu. My son, I had a dream. You were standing at the airport, but your feet were bleeding. And you were crying. Mama, na dream, nothing dey happen. Chuka laughed. But his mother was serious. Chuka, stop telling people. Don't share your date with anybody again. Just go quietly. He promised, but by the next morning he has posted a countdown. 7 days to Japa. Fire emojis, plane emojis, celebration gifts. He was too excited to see the traps around him. 3 days later, Ifeanyi visited Chuka's room. Guy, make I even help you pack small. It go dey easier. They laughed, drank, ate noodles together. What Chuka didn't know was that Ifeanyi had stolen one of his socks. Just one socks. Then, Ifeanyi took it to someone that night. A spiritualist woman. Shebi he wan japa. Block am. Make he no go. Make everywhere scatter. The next morning, Chuka woke up and couldn't find his passport. He tore the room apart. Jesus, I kept it under my pillow. His heart raced. He called his travel agent. He called friends. He was sweating and breathing fast. Then suddenly, he found it under the table, but burnt around the edges. Chuka froze. Who entered my room? Nobody knew. The door was locked, or so he thought. That night, he had whispers in his sleep. He turned on the light. Nobody. He prayed hard, but still he couldn't shake the fear. 2 days later, his church pastor called. Brother Chuka, the man said, I don't know what this means, but during prayer, I saw you walking into a plane that suddenly vanished. Pastor, should I postpone the flight? He asked, worried. Not necessarily, but pray and be careful who you allow near you. On the night before he flied, Chuka did something he hadn't done in years. He cried. Not tears of joy, but a deep, heavy sadness he couldn't explain. I should be happy, but why do I feel scared? He knelt down and prayed, called his mom, asked her to bless him. Then he laid down to sleep. At exactly 2:46 a.m., his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Just one sentence. You think you can leave us behind? Tomorrow your journey ends. Chuka stared at the screen, his heart pounding. Then his light flickered and everything went dark. Chuka sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the message again. You think you can leave us behind? Tomorrow your journey ends. His body was cold. The room was silent. Even the bulb above him flickered gently like a weak candle. He didn't sleep since 2:46 a.m. All night, he tossed, turned and replayed every moment of the last few days. His bags were packed, passport in a file, flight set for 9:30 p.m. UK, a new life, a second chance. A miracle that was 7 years in making. But something was wrong. Someone was watching him. Chuka's room felt heavier than usual, as if invisible chains were wrapped around his shoulders. His Bible lay open, but he hadn't read a single verse. He checked the message again. The number had disappeared. No contact photo, no previous messages. He dialed the number. This number does not exist. That was the moment his heart sank. Mama warned me. Pastor warned me. He whispered to himself. Even he had felt it, but now he didn't know what to do. Was he being paranoid or was this spiritual? He remembered when his late grandmother said, when a blessing is near, enemies wear the face of friends. By noon, Chuka tried to shake off the fear. He dressed in clean white jeans and shirt, barbed his hair, cleaned his shoes till they shined. He went around to greet some neighbors. Mama Nkechi hugged him tightly. May God protect you, my son. The kids in the compound sang for him, dancing around his box. Even Ifeanyi showed up with a forced smile and said, Oma, now God the bless person, no, save Johnny bro. But behind that smile, his eyes didn't blink. Chuka's heart skipped and something felt off. As he turned to go inside, he could swear he heard Ifeanyi whisper, you no go anywhere. Chuka got into the Uber he booked and gave the driver directions. The air in the car was unusually hot. He rolled the window down, but he was sweating. Cold sweat. His palms were sweat, his chest tight, and something strange happened. As they passed a certain junction near my 2, the car radio, which has been off, suddenly turned on by itself. It blasted an old gospel tune. Enemies go shame when Jesus blesses me. The Uber driver looked shocked. Omo, I don't even touch anything. Chuka stared at the window silent. Tears welled in his eyes. He remembered everything he had gone through, mixing cement for 2,000 naira per day, driving people around without rest, fasting, praying and crying. He whispered, God, please, let me just reach UK, please. He checked in, collecting his boarding pass. Everything looked fine, too fine. He went to a corner, dropped to his knees and prayed. I reject every arrow, every trap, every delay. Let me fly. Let me live. A soft breeze passed by. The airport light flickered. He stood up, kissed his mother's photo on his phone and smiled. He didn't know that outside the airport, in a black Sienna parked far away, Ifeanyi was watching and whispering incantations. His eyes red. In his hand, Chuka's old sock tied with a red thread. Boarding began at 9 p.m. Chuka was in group 3. He stood in line, holding his passport and ticket tightly. He looked around at other passengers, some smiling, some chatting, some on the phone. Then he heard something, a whisper. "You can't escape." He turned. Nobody was there. Suddenly, his legs buckled. His hand trembled. His eyes blurred. "Help!" someone shouted. Chuka collapsed right there in front of the gate. Security rushed in. Nurses nearby tried to resuscitate him. He was sweating, vomiting, and his eyes were rolling back. Passengers gathered in fear. One woman screamed, "This one a spiritual attack, oh!" They rushed him to the airport clinic. No pulse, no breath. Then his phone dropped from his pocket. A message appeared on the screen. Scheduled for 10 p.m. UK, here I come. Goodbye Nigeria forever. His lifeless body lay on the clinic bed. But back at Ajegunle, at exactly 10:10 p.m., Ifani's room caught fire. No one could explain how. No candle, no stove, no wiring issues, just a mysterious flame and a scream. "Ah!" And a red threaded sock burnt into ash. In the clinic at the airport, silence filled the room. The nurse who had tried CPR was in tears. The doctor shook his head. He was fine. This shouldn't have happened. No prior illness, no attack, just collapse. A police officer looked at the body and muttered, "This one no be ordinary." One of the airport staff looked back at the wall clock. 9:30 p.m. The exact time the flight departed. They covered Chuka's face with a white sheet. His dream had taken 7 years to build, and just like that, it ended 7 minutes before takeoff. By morning, the news had reached his family. His mother, Mama Nena, collapsed upon hearing it. The entire village in Enugu wept. Everyone kept asking, but he was fine yesterday, wasn't he? Nobody could explain it. No accident, no fight, no sickness, just sudden death. But deep in the heart of his mother, she knew. She felt it in her bones. Someone had done this. On the second night after his death, strange things began to happen. In Ajegunle, his neighbor Mama Nkechi heard loud footsteps coming from Chuka's room, but it was empty. She ignored it, thought it was her mind playing tricks. Until the next night, she heard crying, a man's voice. She ran to knock on Ifani's door. "Did you hear that?" Ifani, sweating heavily, pretended to be asleep. "No, nothing. Maybe it's just your TV." But he knew the voice was Chuka's, calling, weeping. The family brought Chuka's body back to the village. As they tried to lay him in the coffin, something unusual happened. His eyes opened. Screams filled the room. Children ran, women fainted. The village priest ordered everyone out. Then, inside the hut with only the priest and his mother, something strange happened. The priest lit incense and prayed. Chuka's lips moved. No voice came out, but he kept trying. The priest knelt, held Mama Nena's hands and said, "Your son was not supposed to die. Somebody killed him, and his spirit is not at rest." That night, Mama Nena had a dream. She saw her son sitting beside a river, tears in his eyes, trying to wash his feet, but blood poured from them. He looked up and said, "Mama, I told too many people. I should have listened. The man who laughed with me took my life. He used my socks, Mama, my own socks." She woke up screaming, sweating, sobbing. She knew who did it. Back in Lagos, Mama Nkechi went to a nearby white garment church, desperate for answers. The prophetess there had never met Chuka, but the moment Mama Nkechi sat down, the woman said, "Someone killed a boy in your compound, a good boy. He was meant to travel, but someone tied his journey with cloth and blood. That person is still living, still pretending, still smiling." News spread about Ifani's room catching fire. People started talking. He didn't even cry when Chuka died. Wasn't he always mocking people who wanted to japa? He looked too calm. But Ifani denied everything. Fire care. Na electric fault. Me, how can I kill someone I call my brother? But the whispers wouldn't stop, and the guilt started to show. He stopped sleeping, stopped eating. Every night he heard footsteps, and then the voice. On the 5th night after Chuka's death, Ifeanyi ran out of his room at midnight screaming, "He's here! He's here! I didn't mean to kill him!" People gathered. He pointed to the corner. "He's holding the socks. He's crying blood." They rushed him to a nearby church. The pastor prayed and eventually calmed him. But in his confession, he revealed it all. "I took his socks. I wanted to stop the flight. I didn't want him to die, just delay. But the woman said it was too strong. She said blood was needed to seal it. I didn't know." Silence fell. He collapsed on the floor, weeping. In the village, on the night of Chuka's burial, something happened. As they lowered his body, the ground shook slightly. The sky turned grey, and then thunder struck directly on the grave. People screamed. Some ran, but Mama Nena stood still and whispered, "My son will not sleep until justice is done." The compound was no longer lively. Where children once played, silence now lived. Where music once played from small speakers, a deep gloom settled. Chuka's room had been locked. No one entered. Even his window refused to open. Every night, people claimed to hear faint crying. A deep male voice whispering, "Why me?" Ifeanyi's confession had spread like wildfire. The entire street knew. People no longer greeted him. Children pointed fingers. Even market women stopped selling to him. But the real punishment was inside his soul. He could no longer sleep. Every night, Chuka's voice echoed in his head. 7 years? For this? You smiled and killed me." Then the nightmares began. Blood, planes crashing, feet bleeding, and Chuka always standing in white, watching him silently. One night, Ifeanyi ran into traffic screaming. He was picked up by the police. When asked what happened, he said only one thing: "I killed a man's future, and now his ghost is killing me." Chuka's mother refused to sit still. She took Ifeanyi's confession to the church, the elders, and even the media. An NGO picked interest in the story. Some reporters were visiting the village. The headline read, "Lagos man spiritually killed 1 week to UK flight. Family demands justice." But what justice can you give a mother who buried her only son the night he was supposed to fly? While cleaning his room, Mama Nkechi found a sealed envelope hidden inside his pillow. It was addressed to my future self in case I don't make it. Inside, he had written, "The elders decided to perform a spiritual cleansing to let Chuka's spirit rest. At midnight, by the river, they gathered. Candles, prayers, psalms. The priest raised his hands and said, 'Chuka Nnamani, your blood cried out, but today, let your soul find rest. The one who stopped your journey has started a journey of madness. Vengeance is complete.' The candles flickered, the wind whistled, and a shooting star flew across the sky. 6 months later, Ifeanyi was seen walking barefoot near CMS Bridge, whispering to himself, 'Flight, sock, river. I'm sorry, Chuka. I'm sorry.' His eyes were empty, his beard wide. Once, a man who wore perfume and sharp clothes, now wearing a torn singlet and mismatched slippers. Someone dropped 50 naira into his hands. He didn't even see it. He just stared into space and said again, 'I'm sorry.' Chuka's story went viral. His letter was published in newspapers and shared online. His name became a symbol of silent struggle and the danger of oversharing. A foundation was set up in his honor to help struggling students get scholarship without exploitation. The signboard read, "The Chuka Nnamani Foundation. Let your success make the noise." Dear dreamer, not everyone is against you, but not everyone is for you either. Keep your plans to yourself. Nurture your dream like a seed in the ground, silent, protected, and away from the wind. When it blooms, the world will see it. But until then, let them wonder. Let God finish it in private. Let silence protect your journey. Because Chuka talked too soon and his voice was silenced forever. The moral lesson of this story reminds us that your dreams are seeds and they grow best in silence. Not everyone around you is truly happy for your progress. Some people smile, not to celebrate you, but to monitor you. And when you speak too early, you expose your plans to spiritual and physical enemies who never wished you well. Chuka's story teaches us that while it is good to rejoice, not every celebration must be made public. Sometimes silence is safety, not out of fear but out of wisdom. Let your results speak and let your actions shine. Let them hear of your success after it has taken root. Because a secret kept today might be the reason you're still alive tomorrow.